Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream, but everybody's busy today. But I will be hopefully chatting to somebody. I've got my Derwent Fab 72 Derwent pencils in the box, and they're in my little book of 21st century book of watercolours. And I've also conscious that I've got to make this for Carol, who won the giveaway. But it does take it out of your hands a little bit, so it's kind of a one-off thing. But I want to show how to do it. So I got number one, which was zinc yellow, and scribbled in mine as well, because I'm revamping mine, because if you can see I'm using them quite a lot now, and there's a fair bit of colour on there, but some of them have got used a lot more, so I thought I could kill two birds with one stone. So this is number two, and you've got to be a bit careful you don't crease it like I did that. So a good, I was going to ask my daughter to do this. Oops, a good colour across, and then I turn that over and a second time, and then by the time you've done it a third time, you can see we've got a real good coating of colour there. And I apologise, I've caught that one because it's just sometimes not easy to hold. So then I've got my little tiny pen. So this one's called Lemon Cadmium, and that's number two. So that means I can go straight to number two, and I can just scribble across. And this is a job to do when you're watching a film on TV. And that's number two done. Got 70 to go. So again, we take number three, and I found it a bit easy to have a ruler or something for a nice edge. Oh hi, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I just thought I wanted to show everybody how I revamp and make my pages. So I'd made some pages and I wasn't very impressed with them, so I've gone back to this Sea White 140 GSM acid free extra wet strength. This seems to be the best paper. This is what I made mine out of, and they've lasted. So I'm going to have to remake the other ones because I'm not happy with them. So this should be number three, which is gold. And these are nearly twice the size of mine, so they should last a fair time. And as long as you don't wet them too much, this palette should last you a good few years. I think I've had mine, oh, I can't remember how long I've had mine, but I've had them a few years. So normally 3 times. You can tell when you can't get any more because you get lots of particles of pencil, and so you know there seems to be quite a nice coating on here, and I'm sure that Derwent can put this on here a lot easier than I can, and that would be good for them. So I'm not going to give up hope. So this is called Gold, and it's number 3. And then my golds had quite a bit of a carry on because I use it a lot, and I find this colour is wonderful for doing the little window highlights for the lights in any colouring in. If there is a window that's not blacked out, then it wants to have like a candle light, like a lit light inside, and I find that the gold is the best colour. It's here. I like the cad yellow, but the gold has just that edge to it. Hi Suzanne, hi Booklister. Who else have we got? Dorothy, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I just thought I'd go over this, seeing as I spent an hour looking for one of the pencils. So these have not been sharpened since I've used them. They've been in the tin, but I've had them a long time, maybe 15, 20, maybe 25 years. Had them an awful long time. So yeah, they do like, and I don't use them in the pencil form. So this is number 4, and so I've left a space underneath to be named, and I've left a space at the side for the color scope chart. So I didn't know whether I should do that or let Carol do it herself, because then she can see just how nice they are. So I have to email her and ask her. So I'm just going to give that another one over the top of there to see if we can get as much. Oh, you've got to be a little bit careful you don't crease the page there. So we've got primrose yellow. And that's number 4. And that means that I can go to number 4 and I can just, let me just have a look at the camera and see if it's behaving itself. It should be. Oh, sorry Dorothy, I know Ustream's not behaving itself very well, is it? I expected these pages to go to mush, which is why I made them like this. So I thought I could just destroy one. Oh, hi Terry, hi everybody. Let me know if anybody else is streaming. I couldn't work it out, but I just wanted to get this recorded because I know a lot of people wanted to see how I did it. So that was number 4. And we'll get number 5 out. And this is quite nice because this is going to be quite full of a lot of yellows. And so put that there. I've got a neat edge. Just got to be a bit careful. So this is number 5. So you normally want about 3 coats of pencil there, and this will work with any watercolor pencil. I've just been going through mine and I found all sorts of obscure ones. I've even, and the early learning one, it has this little paintbrush here, and I thought, well, I'll try it, and it's a beautiful pink. Lakeland painting one, it has a paintbrush. There's some Inscribe Holland Aquarelle paints. So I've tested them and I like them. So if I've tested them, there's Prismalo, they're actually in here. There's some, this is a Faber-Castell, is it this one? That's his Caran d'Ache Prismalo. There's all sorts that I've found, and I've tested them. Some are not very good, But if they're really good and they're good vibrancy, then I will put them in my little book. It doesn't matter if it's early learning or whatever it's for. If it's nice enough and good enough to be well pigmented, that's what I've gone for. So this is straw, and I apologise in advance for my horrible writing. This is number 5. Oh, and number 5 wants to just be revamped in mine because I use the straw an awful lot. But mine are only small, and I've been using them in the Colin Thompson book, so perhaps I could make a bigger one and use it. I could make a bigger one. And then hopefully these, I may sellotape these in. I may sellotape them in because that will give me 2 pages. It depends how many pages I get out of here, but I want to get, oops, and that's stuck. That one's stuck in because that one's the Peerless. So next one is number 6. Have I got that one out? Cadmium Yellow number 6. So I said this is a job really for a rainy day, if you can hear the rain pouring down. It's cold and wet and miserable, and oh, there is a puppy under there. Oh, in fact, oh, there's only one. And Alfie's been very good. He's been asking to go out, so we may have trained him, bless him. But he was so naughty at the weekend, he did nothing but bark on every video that I made, so he was a bit in the doghouse. And this is why I can't really use pencils for colouring in. But I have to do this once a year, so that'll be okay. So this is cadmium, deep cadmium number 6. And I shall just jiggle on mine because I use this deep cadmium. As you can see mine, it's not very shiny. There's a lot of dull patches compared to this one I've just revamped. And that's because I've used this one a lot. This is the one I use for the sunflowers, and straight away you can see. And even though that's wet, it's not brilliant. It's not going to get as much on it as I had originally, but it's again a few years old, and this is the second time I've revamped it. But I do use this in the Colin Thompson book, and I've used it in other books as well. So I don't tend to flick through the book like I used to do. Not for the Colin Thompson, I only use this one. So that's done. Number 7. So you end up with a page of really nice colours. So number 7, just happen to have a bit of a, see if I can get rid of that, it's going to annoy me immensely. I found this today. I found a lot of things. That's a bit better. It's just getting on my nerves. So this is number 7. So So the nicest thing is you've got all these yellows and oranges, because if you follow me, you don't have to follow them in order, but I've just followed them in order. And that means, I was hoping to get my daughter to do this for me, but she's got so much college work. Although she hated the high school, she loved school originally, but she hated the high school she went to. But she didn't realise just big grown-ups college is a lot of work. So it's always, so this is a Naples yellow. And that's number 7. So I'll go to mine, and I've used mine quite a lot as well. So we could work out how long it takes us to do a page. Now, as I say, I didn't expect this really cheap paper in this sketchbook to work. I thought that after I'd used this a while, this would disintegrate. So I made it on little tiny squares so I could just throw one away and did not waste lots and lots of colour. But actually, it stands up quite well. And then I cut lots of squares out to make the other ones. And this paper isn't as good. So I'll use it for, if I make my daughter one, I'll use it for hers. So again, there seems to be some nice colour covering on there. And I do love this box, but you know, it's not practical to get this box out every time you want to use these pencils. So this is number 8. Again, if you can just follow the line, it's probably about 3 coats, 3 layers of colour. And I say, I'm sure Derwent can do this. They'll have a machine to do this, and then they can print these out all day, every day, and people could just buy them in sets of sheets and just replace these. Postage would be cheap, and all their gorgeous colours in their art bars, their aquatones. I've been finding all my Derwent aquatones, the art bars, the Graphitint, easily touch 600, 300 or 400 colours in here easily. And I think to get that many watercolours in a little book for Derwent would be the making of them again. So I'm desperately trying to get them to go for that. And it is their idea. It was Colin. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I've named him in all the other ones, and he's on my video cover that I have hanging about. That I seem to have popped somewhere. So I might try to do that. So have I done number 8? Did I rejiggle number 8 a bit? Yes, I did. Oops. And this is why I don't use pencils, because I drop everyone nearly. So this is a lot safer for me. And I love the pencils, but you could get a lot of control from this little paper palette. Especially for colouring in. You know, for colouring in, it's fine. For being big watercolours, I didn't write that down, but that was number 8. For big watercolours that you want to do, then obviously you want different kinds of watercolours. But if you want to colour in a really quiet, peaceful way with little mess, I mean, this would be perfect for kids, perfect for college students, to have very little mess, especially kids. You know, they're going to spill a tablespoon of water Well, how awesome is that? Because every time I got the paints out for my kids, what did they do? They spilt the tub of water before they even started to paint. So, you know, this is a bit fab. And what have they wasted? A bit of paper. So we've got number 9, deep chrome. And then this one was number 8, middle chrome. Spelt chrome right the first time, and then I didn't spell chrome right that time. I didn't do number 9 on mine either, did I? Chrome. So I probably will make some nice, now I've got this size, I think this is quite a nice size for squares. Did anybody, has anybody got any questions? It's number 9. And we'll get to number 10, orange chrome. Oh, trust me, Timothy, you would not have liked the barking. Was anybody here when I was streaming? He literally barked and barked and barked. My daughter had a sleepover. It wasn't too bad yesterday, but Saturday he just constantly grumbled and barked. I mean, he's under the table now and butter wouldn't melt, but that wasn't the case on Saturday. Oh, was it Friday? I can't remember. I think it may have been Friday. The girls came Friday because if I'd have known that, I would have actually gone away. And my husband was sitting in a room with a window opposite the pencil factory, and I didn't go. So this is chrome orange. Sorry, orange chrome. Well, I heard about putting the ad block. The ad block. Oh, who's streaming, Suzanne? Am I in anybody's way? I just wanted to get this. I'll just do this page as a quickie, just to show how easy it is. So this is number 10, and so I'm just going to go on mine to revamp. I'm just revamping mine at the same time, so that I've got some nice colour. But it does hurt my hands. Whoa! Yep, it does hurt my hands. I was going to get my daughters to do it, but I've run out of time, so I'm having to do it myself. So I can't really complain, but if you've got bad hands, this is why I can't use. I've got these beautiful pencils. I've got hundreds of pencils. I could probably give Dee Dee a run for her money. That's how many pencils I have, and I don't use them, which is a shame. It's so disgraceful, the fact that I can't use pencils. So I've given some to my daughter. Now I'm hoping she's going to start using my other pencils. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to give them away because, as I say, they're sitting in the drawer. And it's an abomination that they're sitting there. And everybody would be crying out for all these gorgeous pencils. Some of them are cheapies, and I found some Crayola ones today. But I just can't use them. That's a gorgeous orange. That's Spectrum Orange number 11. As I say, even if Derwent brought out They could either bring out the full 72 or they could do them in their own sets. But this would be such a brilliant way, I think. So that was number 11. And apologies for the horrible writing. And so get to number 11, and I don't even have to bother about looking at it. I can just scribble over mine. Something on the back of there? No. Oh, that's what I did. I put that there, look. Just to give mine a little bit of... And so all mine are all shiny again. Now they're not going to be as good because I've only got kind of one layer on there. So maybe it would be an idea to make the squares and then throw them away and make another one, but this has lasted me a good few years. So put that one away. See, these pencils don't come out. I think it's about 2 years since I revamped them. I think I've revamped the Inktense ones when Thumper was alive. There's a video with a rabbit. So this is number 12 and it's Scarlet Lake. So we're just going into the reds, but I would call this one an orangey red. This Scarlet Lake is an orangey red. So actually that works quite well. And this just makes sure that your scribbles stay into, they're not perfect, but you know, this is hand done. See, I'm sure Derwent can get this colour. And they could use them as samplers as well, but they would fit in a gorgeous little Derwent leather pouch. I mean, how awesome would that be? Very much like the a Midori, but I can't say Midori, but a little leather gentleman's travel pouch for watercolourists. So this one's Scarlet Lake. And it's number 12. And I've left that because I might put it into there. So that's the first colours. I've creased that, but it's just difficult for me to hold it flat. But there's a fair amount of colour on there. And that will go into Carol's little book of watercolours. And I've made that for her there. And then that's Winsor & Newton, so I'll probably put them that way. So if I do another one, I may stick it together. We'll see how I feel. Or that can stick in that way. I could stick it in that way, it'd be fine. And then you can take these out and put them in what order you want. That's the other way of doing it. So that's it in there. And it has its plastic protected page that you would have a photo in. All safe. So I was doing this when I was watching Dee Dee this morning. It's a little bit neater, that one. So I'm going to start that way because I might do that one again. Because I can use that to stick on there then. So we now need, did I do number 12? No, I didn't, did I? Oops, let's see if I can find number 12 on there. So, there we go. So we've done 12. So we now need pale vermilion. So to start on that side. And you could, if you've bought the pens, you could do quite a few of these for relatives, or swap. If somebody's got Inktense and somebody's got Derwent, they could do a pencil swap. So the person with Inktense could make one of these for the person who's got the Derwent, and the person with the Derwent could make one for the person who's got the Inktense. And that way you could try out the others without spending a lot of money before you've tried them. That's pale, because I'm sure we've all bought things that we thought, flip, wish we'd not bought all these now. Wish I'd just bought one or two, but then of course if there's a full set we have to have the full set. Oh, that's fine. If somebody lets me know when Jean's streaming, that'd be brilliant. So what have we got next? Deep Vermilion. So welcome everybody who have I missed. Hi Kingo, Suzanne, Dorothy, Timothy, Terry. This is just making little squares, and you could do this with the Caran d'Ache. Anybody that's got 100 Caran d'Ache. And the thing is with the Caran d'Aches, which I found, I love them, but taking them out on hot summer vacations, they melt. They're gorgeous, but they melt. Or at least mine did. Not to the extent I couldn't use them, but you know, to the extent where I thought, oh wow, I've got to be a bit careful. Whereas if they're in this little book, they are not going to get damaged at all. So we've got, this one's Deep Vermilion. That was the Alf. And the vet could not believe how the little man was running around his surgery. I've just realised it's 2 weeks today since he was hit by a lorry and a car, and I would almost say he's back to normal. Oh, which reminds me, he hasn't had his meds. I have to remember that one. And the other thing is, seeing the pencils here, when you see them with their colour swatch here, you can see sometimes, well actually I don't want that colour, I don't want that colour, but I'd like that colour. And you can see they've got 10 different shades. Okay, darling, yeah. Could you just remind me to get back for Alfie's meds? Medication, I forgot to give him it. So this is number 14. So I just scribble, and again I've used a lot of this colour. I do love, oops, I do love this colour. It's a lot easier to do than when they're not in the book. But you know, I've just revamped that to give me another lot of gorgeous, gorgeous colour. So if you put the television on or listen to a play on the radio, it doesn't take, or watch Ustream, doesn't take that long. But this book is wonderful for hospitals because you say a tablespoon of water, is all you need, and you can go to the hospital and colour in. And because it's not very wet, you can almost instantly shut the book when they call your name, because you can sit there for 4 hours waiting for them, but the minute they open the door, you want to be you want to be out. So that's Geranium Lake, and I like that one as well. That's number 15. So I can go straight to number 15 and know that one is Geranium Lake. So after a while this will get terribly boring. You see, derwent watercolours are wonderful. They are really fab. I'm just going to turn that one over because it's going to be a little bit easier. But remember, that's all pure colour now. So if you've got wet fingers, or it will come off. That's why it needs to go into its little corner as soon as possible. So this one is, oh dear me, this is Flesh Pink. I was thinking about trying to find an exact square to fill in. If I got a template, that probably would be good. I could make a template. I think I intended to do that, but then I wanted my daughters to do this and kind of run out of time. So this one is Flesh Pink number 16. And I do know that I've used that quite a lot. If you can see, it's quite dull, that one. If you see, all these are shiny now. But that one is really dull. And that's because I've used it quite a lot. So number 17 is Pink Madder Lake. So I say I'll just do one more and then that might take me up. Has anybody got any questions? And these squares lend themselves very much the dry way of working in your colour books. So it's a perfect combination, is this. And it makes it portable as well. Some colours are a lot creamier than others, and again, it's the pigment in them which are wonderful. So that one, what did I say that one's? Pink Madder Lake. Number 17. So I may have to sharpen that. So that one is this one, Pink Madder Lake. I don't think I've sharpened these yet, although they do need sharpening now. Then this is number 18. Rose Pink. So if you do this with 72 pencils, which is the full range of the Derwent, and then the full range of Inktense, so 72 of those, you're going to have quite an array of colour. does help to have a flat surface. Now, maybe I've got that too wet, not sure. I'll take that over there anyway. And the other thing is, I think with the liquids, especially with the liquid watercolours, you can take these on a plane, whereas you wouldn't be able to take these on a plane in their little bottles, the Dr. Martens pH Hydrus. You couldn't take those on a plane, and you wouldn't really want to take the Gansai Tambi watercolours either. And the other one is like a suitcase full of pencils, so it is a little bit easier to work that way. So I'm now on number 19, Madder Carmine. This is a nice one as well. All these reds I really like. Does anybody have any questions? Why would you want to, Suzanne? Because it's quite expensive, isn't it? I mean, you can use what you like, but don't use watercolour paper. Whatever you do, do not use watercolour paper, because watercolour paper absorbs watercolours, and we want them to sit on top. If you use watercolour paper, you'll get maybe one use out of this, maybe, that's it. Because all that colour, as soon as this paper gets wet, will soak into it. If you use some kind of ordinary paper, the watercolour will actually sit on top. I've just got some fluffy bits on there. I don't want to smudge them. So whatever you do, do not use watercolour paper. Now, Jenny Belly, when she made hers, did, but it doesn't work. Not if you're going to keep it forever. As I say, it did take a lot of time to get this to work. It took a lot of time. It could do, but again, I put this on plastic and it didn't work. I've put some things on different papers. It didn't work. So I would suggest the pencils go on paper. This is a card, the postcard, watercolour postcard. But that's because this is professional watercolour and it's going to take a lot more water. But that's the only reason I put it on here. Because if you think about it, watercolour absorbs the colour, that's why it's watercolour paper. Some of the things in here didn't work. The pencils, the pastels didn't work. But the pencils are better sitting on good quality, extra acid free, extra wet strength sketchbook paper that's very smooth. You want it smooth. And this is 140 acid free, extra wet strength, sea white. Now I've seen it in other things, but it's 99p. And you could make it this size if you wanted, and then that would go in your fake Hobonichi. or if you cut an inch off, it would go in your Midori. So you don't have to cut them into little squares. Madder Carmine. Did I say Madder Carmine? Number 19. Number 19 is here, and again I've used quite a lot of this one. And you can see the colour running on there. And as soon as this paper got wet, that colour would have soaked in. And then you'd have been rubbing on mush, because if you rub on watercolour paper too much when you're watercolouring, it disintegrates, and that's what will happen. You'll just have mush. So I've tried it, it doesn't work. You've got to use a good quality sketchbook paper, but not expensive. So number 20 is Crimson Lake. I mean, this has taken me about 3 years, 4 years to get this like this. Actually, I should rephrase that. If I found that watercolour paper didn't work because it won't last as long as this. But I'm a tight Yorkshire lass, so I couldn't use my watercolour paper. Crimson Lake, number 20. Spelt crimson long now, look. And that's number 20. So we're almost a third of the way there now. Well, try it, Suzanne. Try it. See if it'll work. I think it's because anything too shiny and it rubs off, and anything too rough and it won't, and it kind of sinks in. And I think this sea white paper is just 140 GSM is just about right. But you know, try what you've got. That's the idea, is to use what you've got. Cheap and cheerful. And Derwent probably would find something completely better, something a lot better to bring theirs out on, because their colour will be stuck on from the start. It won't be pencil form, because they can melt this. They can melt this colour. They can just melt it and paste it on. Rose Madder, that one. Oh, I've made a mistake. That's why I should have started that way. Oh dear me. I can't label them. Oh, well I can. I just have to do it very thin. I shall have to keep this one for my daughter. There we go, that's Rose Madder, which is number 21. don't think it actually needs labelling, this one, if it's... I can just put... Just got to be careful not to crunch the sides, but because I've already done that. And we said this one was magenta. Rosemary is 21. This is Rosemary 22. Yes, Terry, you tried that last time, Terry. I would send one to everybody if I could. If I could stand the scribbling. Number Imperial Purple, number 23. The Faber-Castell, though, there's a Faber-Castell pencil somewhere. What else did I have? These are extra ones. These are when they were called Rexel, but they're all the same colour. Is it this one? I was making squares earlier. The Caran d'Ache ones, Inscribe. But the trick is to try them. And if they work, if they work, then, and they're waterproof, try them on a little square. And anything that worked went in this little book. That was my attitude. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll have a pencil scribbling weekend. I think it probably would be cheaper to buy the pencils, don't you? Probably. Although my daughter at uni, when she was at college, she had a lot of parties down the garden, and people just brought the tents, and we just had lots of 20-odd students down the garden drinking, but at least I knew where they were. So they had all their weekend drinking parties down the garden. So that was quite good. And I made them a good stew or homemade chip butties or something to soak up the alcohol. Right, I think I did that one, but I haven't done this one, which is 23. Deep, is this deep purple? Imperial purple. But by all means, try anything that works, anything you've got. That's the name of the game. So that was Carmine. So that was 23, wasn't it? Yeah, that was Imperial Purple. And this one is Red Violet Lake. 24. It's a little bit diddy, but we managed it. So I've done 24 in about an hour, so that's not so bad. So a couple of hours. You probably go a lot faster than me, because I've done 2. I've been doing my other one as well, so probably a couple of hours. Again, it's a good movie, so 2.5 hours you should have managed to do this. So that's not too bad considering what you've got. You've got a really nice travel watercolour set, 21st century. So we've got this one with a bit of a mistake on it. So it looks like mine now, but that's got plastic between. This one will go like that. So we've got yellows to oranges, and then reds to purples, and then on this side there will be on this, so that's protected, and then on this one there would be what have I got? Oh, I could put them like that though. I could put them like this. I could put them on that side. So you've got reds and yellows. Oopsie. Mine haven't got, mine are just stuck in, so that should be quite nice, and they'll all be a lot neater, so a lot neater than my book. On here I have photocopy paper. There is on the first, there is a video on this, Suzanne. There's 3. There's one how I put these in, the watercolours. There's one how I did put the peerless in. And there's one how I cut the pages. But basically, it depends on your type of photographed album. This one goes in sideways, so I took photocopy paper, sliced it across ways, folded it in half, and slipped that in there. Then that makes you can remove them if you want. Mine, I can't remove mine, and I've stuck mine in and done a lot of jiggery pokery into mine, broke the spine, whereas this one will be extremely neat. So there probably won't be 500 or 600, there might be 400 in here. There should be 400 because some of the others in there didn't work. But with these watercolours here, there's 2 blues, 2 reds, 2 yellows, browns and greens there, and there's a cad yellow which I have to buy. There isn't a colour here with this plastic palette and packaging like mine, that there isn't a colour you can't make, and as long as you wipe that and dry it, you know, again, that is instead of this, one of those. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and I've got 3, 6, 9, 12. So that is a watercolour instead of this. And all I've done is taken them out and cut a few millimetres off the bottom. And once you push that back into there, it looks perfectly okay. It's just that one doesn't go in there. It's just a bit shorter. These are all the ones that are left. But if you can pick one out that I've already done, again, that's a Didi one that's left. That's the top. And I've stuck them in about 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres, and that's pure colour. So instead of having this here, you've got the colours that thin. And then you've got the Peerless, which are about somewhere. Oh, they're at the back. The Peerless are at the back. There's 44 Peerless, I think. And they're very vibrant. And then I managed to get these in. But they are a bit sticky. But, you know, they're in. They're the Hydrus. So that's, I feel a bit better about that. I've actually got something a little bit better. I've got all of them made up. I've just got to stop making mistakes. So there should be 72 Inktense and 72 Derwent, and these are, say, nearly twice the size of mine, so yeah, they should be quite good. Oh, not quite the same, like the same size. So they last a bit. So have you got any questions? Hi Laurel. Oh, Laura, sorry, Laura L. Do apologise. So it depends on what kind of book you get hold of. I wish I'd got hold of more of these, but I can't get hold of them anymore. They were £1.50. Paper Chase. And I think that's just, but that size is so lovely. You know, if you have your sketchbook, you've got hundreds of colours in here. And you can use a water brush. I just find it a little bit too wet for colouring in watercolour books. But if you wanted to do sketches in here, this kind of paper, you can use a water brush in here, no problem at all. You just can't get them too wet because you'll use all your colour up very quickly. But I hope it lasts a little bit. I think mine's lasted because I haven't used one particular, apart from recently, I haven't used one. I flick and I use a green from the Peerless, I use Caran d'Ache, and I flick through them all, picking colours that I like and mix them all up. But I don't do that when I'm doing watercolouring in colour books, and I don't do that when I'm doing Bible journaling and Bible colouring in, because that I only use the Derwent because the other colours will go through. And then you put your pencils away for another 2 years. So it does look quite cool, doesn't it? And so they won't go in there like this unless you didn't put the paper in. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't just stick that one in there and stick that one in there and just flick this, because this is the magic. This stops them contaminating. So you can have it just like mine and stick this into the book and just have the clear flaps. You can do it however you want. I just thought, and if Carol gets this and decides she doesn't like it, she can just fold that in half and stick it in there. And then on the back you will stick another colour, because this is protected here. So on the back of this one she can stick another one, because that's protected with this one. And that's how it works. You've got to have this between. but there's about 4 videos of how to, I think I did this. The first one is about how to put the paper in, and then I did the peerless, and then I did the watercolour, and then I did this one. This is number 3, I think, video. And I was going to do that every week, but with one thing and another, and then this thing with Alfie last couple of weeks, things have gone to pot. So this is probably part 4 of my little book of watercolours, my 21st century travel book of watercolours. The Inktense are fab. I mean, I've used these and it's dropping to bits now, this, because it literally gets thrown in my handbag. It goes everywhere. It's a bit like Alfie, you know. And you can see when it's pale how you use it. But this is on this sketchbook paper. It's not on watercolour paper. But I think that looks quite good. And you can see all your colours instantly. If you add all these, you'd have to look at all these and go, what colour is this and what colour is that? Whereas this, you can see them all. So it does work really well. Oh, I hope it's all right. As I say, I hope it works. Mine's lasted a long time. Mine's lasted, but it's just the scribbling. It's just scribbling. But there's a fair amount of colour on there, especially for colour books. I love it for colour books. And especially this little book here is going to quite easily fit in a colour book. I mean, you could quite easily put this in the Colin Thompson book and not even know it's there. And yet you've got hundreds of colours. Especially for this one. This is the only one. I only use the Derwent watercolour pencils on this particular book, because I do love the way you get the watercolour effects. And again, that's why your colour lasts quite a bit, because you're not, you know, if you wanted to do a big colour and you make all that wet, then it's going to disappear. But you don't. You use the little circles in the corners and you get quite a lot of colour. Because if you do that with a brush and then you wash your brush out, all your colour is going in the wash. It's going away. It's been thrown away. Whereas if you work this way, every scrap of paint that you have gets in here. Nothing's wasted. And again, as a tight Yorkshire lass, I kind of like that. I did a video earlier today on here. I think we worked on this section here. About an hour, I think I was. And we painted the little girl. We did the tomato and the apples. And the pepper's a bit pink, so I think I might have to rediddle the pepper. Unless it's an apple. I thought it looked more like a petal. There's the parrot. Oh, we worked on the little trug as well. And there were 4 little gnomes. I coloured those in. This could be a bark alert because my dog says home. Oh, Laura. Oh, good. Well, Laura, you will love it. You will love it. But do what I did. I had a photocopy first. I photocopied the page, and all this has come out of my little book, as well as others as well. I Bible journal out of this as well. So it goes a long way. It's getting more use now. It goes a long way. But I photocopied this and spent 2 days. Hi, Sam. I spent 2 days on a photocopy. And then I learned what I liked and what I didn't like. And so I didn't do a bad job of this, but it's because it was the second time I'd done it. And when you watercolour on a piece of photocopy paper and then you come back to a page in a book, you know that page is going to be perfectly flat. It is, yes. Fantastic. I think I've done... started one other page here. And again, I only use my paper palettes from my Derwent watercolour pencils in here. And that's how I can get these lovely watercolour effects. Sorry, he's grumbling. You get these gorgeous watercolour effects, but you can only do that with a damp rigger. Oh, very good. I think everybody's going to want this book. I'm not sure if he's going to bring another one out. But I must admit, I saw it and I thought I have to have it. Have to have it because, of course, I doodle books all the time. So this is fantastic for this little book. So I hope you enjoyed that video and thank you for watching. As I say, I think this is probably part 4 of my 21st century watercolour book. Oops. So I've got 4 more of these to do, so we're a third of the way through. So it's not such a long job, not for what you think of how you're going to be using it. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you can do bigger squares, smaller squares, whatever size you want. I just like this little size book, but if you just had watercolor pencils, you could have a whole page of it. You know, you get your sketchbook. These come in A4 sizes, but you can have big squares. You can have huge squares. And then this would last you for for a long time. And if you put this in your fake Hobonichi or your other sketchbook, you've got a lot of colour in here. And you've got 72 colours. And in those 72 colours, you've got 10. At least 10 shades. That's 720 colours in one set. That's a lot of colours. That's a lot of colours. So I'll stop the video and I'll call I think this is probably part 4 finished, and the next one I'll start doing the Inktense pencils, but it's actually exactly the same. So thanks for watching.